Alright, welcome to our Eduonix series, Learning to Program with Python 3. This course is going to be a basic introduction to programming with the Python programming language, and this course assumes no prior programming experience. So we're going to start from the basics of programming, how to set up Python, and move all the way through to writing complex desktop and web applications using the Python programming language. So in this course, we're going to talk in depth about the basics of Python as a programming language. But before we do that, we're going to go into a little bit of background about Python and what you're going to need to do in order to start programming Python on your computer. So as I said before, Python is the name of the programming language you're going to be using in this course. Python is a fairly powerful programming language. You can use it both to write web applications, things that you can access from your browser depending on what that is, and also desktop applications, programs that you can run on your local operating system on your computer. Another reason why it's really great to use Python to learn programming for the first time is that it's really easy to read and understand Python code, unlike a lot of the other programming languages that are out there. Languages you might have heard of, like C and C++, Python code, once you have a basic understanding of what the different elements of the language are, it's really simple to read any other person's Python code and understand what it's doing. So Python is going to require some setup on your computer depending on the kind of operating system that you're using. Whether that's Windows, Mac OS X, or Linux operating system, you're going to need to set up the Python programming language. Basically, you need a way of running the Python code you write. And one prerequisite is you'll need a way of editing text, some way that you could write programs. On Windows, you can use a program like Notepad, or if you want to use something more advanced that would be helpful, Sublime Text is available, I believe, on both Mac OS X and Windows and Linux, so that can be used cross-platform. For this course, we're going to be using the basic Vim text editing program on Linux. And now let's talk a little bit about how we can download and install Python so we can get started writing and running the programs. So there's two major ways that you can set up and install Python on your operating system. The easiest way is going to be going to the link that we have here that we'll do in a second and step through the process of downloading the Python installer package and running that installer. Once you do, you'll be able to get access to a Python interpreter, and we'll talk about what that is and how we can use it in the next lesson. If you're using a Linux operating system, like we will be for most of the examples that we show in this course, most of the code that we will actually show, or any of the environment examples, we will be using a Debian 7 Linux environment. In that case, it's really simple to get Python installed, and we'll show you the one command that you need to run in order to get the appropriate version of Python installed. So let's take a look at navigating to the site and making sure we have the appropriate Python version downloaded and installed. So if you go ahead and open your web browser and navigate to python.org/downloads, you should find this website here, which gives you some options for a version of Python to install for your operating system. This here is Windows, but there's also Mac OS X and Linux options available, as you can see through these links here. You're going to want to go ahead and download the latest version of Python 3 and not Python 2, since they will both be available from the website. Once you've downloaded the appropriate Python installer, you can run that program, and it should allow you to step through an installation wizard to make sure Python 3 is set up on your computer. So this is the process that you should follow for Windows and Mac OS X systems. For most Linux distributions, it should be a much simpler process that we'll look at right now. On whatever Linux environment you wish to install Python 3 on, you can first check if Python is already installed. It comes installed in many Linux distributions by default, so you can check this by opening up your preferred Linux terminal and typing Python. You'll have to check the version. This particular Linux distribution comes with a version of Python 2 installed, so we can exit out of that and run an appropriate command to install Python 3. Like we said in the slide, you can use your system's package manager. Since this is a Debian system, and the same should work for Ubuntu, you can use aptitude. You can basically run a command that looks like this. Once your command is finished, Python 3 should be installed, and you should be able to run it by typing Python 3 at your terminal, and you'll get a version of Python 3. As you can see, Python 3 shows up here, so we have a version of Python 3 appropriately installed in our Linux system. So to wrap it up, once you have Python installed, you should be ready to start writing your first Python program, which we'll take a look at in the next video. So all you need to do is download the appropriate installer files as we showed from the Python website, or run the appropriate command for your package manager, and you should be ready to start writing Python programs. So that's it for this lesson.